What was the initial intention of writing your book, Consciousness Medicine?
Well, the impetus and the message was that I wanted to communicate to people that we as human beings have the capacity to heal ourselves, the capacity to know ourselves, first of all, and to heal ourselves and to balance ourselves. And that furthermore, we have the birthright to practice various techniques that can expand consciousness. Because in the world of almost like mythology, the idea of going through a hero's journey or going through something really meaningful and transformative and sort of an ordeal, right, is a ritual that has been part of First Nation practices for millennia. The fact that people have been really connecting with deep place of themselves through various techniques of dancing, of meditation, of isolation, of sacred substances ingested, has been practiced forever, everywhere in the planet. But because of the industrialization of our world, we have lost sight of this practice of transformation and going into adulthood and going into deeper access of ourselves. So I wanted to name that this is a human experience. This is a normal human experience. It can be safe, it can be intentional, it can be transformative, it can be expanding and giving us more connection with various facets of ourselves that are so rich and so enhancing of human life.
So talk to me about psychedelic substances for healing.
So psychedelics are a group of substances that have the propensity of changing, altering our chemistry, the functioning of our nervous system, our brain. It enhances certain hormones and the circulation of hormones and firing certain neurotransmitters. So we are experiencing and perceiving reality in a different way. Essentially, our brain is functioning on a pretty limited level. Let's say some people even say we function like 5% of our entire capacity, which is pretty limited when you think of an organ, right? And when we are ingesting psychedelic substances, our brain functions on a much higher level, probably like 80%. So essentially, we are accessing more potential perception once we are on that altered states with the psychedelic. Psychedelics have been used in the world through First Nation people in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in the Americas, in Europe, in the old centuries, and has been part of society for many, many centuries for healing, for exploring, for spiritual enhancement. And it was part of many Indian practices, Persian practices, certainly Aztec practices, and South American practices. It was part of what the quote-unquote witches used to practice in old Europe. They used to work with many different plants, including fungi, through rituals and contexts that made them very sacred and very special. And so, those were the old days. And then there has been an interest returning into the topic of psychedelics because scientists, doctors, university professors have started to reconsider psychedelic as potential treatments for various symptoms, various affliction of the human body and mental state. So there has been an interest in study, and some government-approved studies have taken place in various universities and hospitals with great success. And so we're seeing a renaissance or a rebirth of psychedelic interest, as well as a destigmatization of what those sacred substances offer and are. In mainstream, in a kind of a grassroots level, there's a lot of work in decriminalization, in some states legalization. So there is a renewed interest in psychedelics right now, which makes me hopeful that there will be a different mentality developing towards the way to handle them best.
Who needs psychedelics? Like, in what cases is that necessary?
Your last word is the most important here. When is it necessary and when is it not necessary? So it can be necessary or optimal or very potent, I should say, for some people who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder due to rape, due to war, due to car accident or trauma in their family from the past or the present. It's very useful for people who are extremely depressed or extremely anxious, people who have addictions due to trauma or due to family addictive patterns. So those psychedelics are, I don't know if necessary, but they're very, very potent and very helpful in those cases to really address and treat aspects of suffering, of human condition that is really painful and really debilitating for some people. And then there is the people for whom it's not necessary, but it is enhancing. So there is what we call the healthy normals. People who are not necessarily crippled by trauma. Everybody has weird stories of the past and weird, everybody has gone through some pain and, some difficult background. Nobody's, immune to pain. But people who are functioning well, people who have well-adjusted, people who have families, and people who have the power of creating a life that's fairly balanced and fairly happy. And then they're attracted to psychedelics because they feel like there is even more to life, a more broadened spiritual dimension, or a bigger sense of belonging to the collective, or wanting to discover a sense of purpose to participate to the collective growth and peacemaking, right, that we were talking about earlier. So there is a hunger for meaning and participation that brings people to psychedelics for a deeper inspiration.